My name's David Remfry. I'm an artist, and a few years ago I was commissioned by Fortnum Mason to do some paintings for their Diamond Jubilee Tea Room. It was a lovely commission because my wife and I had just come back from 20 years in New York, living in the Hotel Chelsea, and it was so different, so quintessentially English to be doing these. I left art school in 1964, bought a van for £50 from my father, loaded every painting I'd ever done into it, borrowed an easel from Hull Art School, and drove up the Great North Road to London. For 2 weeks, I said, but I knew I was never coming back. Thinking back to my first visit to Fortnum Mason's, it would probably have been in 1964 when one of the flatmates said, you have to come and see these stores in London. And he took me to Fortnum Mason. We walked from Earl's Court, where I lived, and it was an amazing place. I mean, well, it is an amazing place, quite unlike any other store I'd seen. And actually, it remains unique, even now to me. I regard them as Capriccioso. They're meant to be joyous things. They're meant to entertain people. People don't come to restaurants to look at art, but they do come to restaurants to have a good time, and art should complement it. So that I felt that these were things that people should glance at and be amused or entertained by. In the China department, I think on the second or third floor, I can't remember now, second floor, a wonderful collection of teapots. And Beverly was slightly pregnant when I started this drawing. She was in the China department, and she got more and more pregnant until she eventually left for maternity. Always been a favourite of mine. She was such a lovely person. There's one in which somebody's carrying a gigantic cake, which I saw. It was downstairs in the ground floor department, and I just had to use that somehow, some which way. And one of the women who were working here was carrying a small cake, and I thought, what if that was this gigantic cake? And I put that there, and I thought, well, probably needs a penguin with a fish in front of her. So I went to London Zoo and drew penguins. I didn't give names to most of the paintings, although I have my own private names to them. I like to think that they have their own little narratives that the designers will be able to pick out for themselves if they glance up. I mean, for instance, there are two people who work in the men's department. One of them's holding up a pair of socks. I mean, it's a completely bonkers picture, really, because they're staring at these socks as if they have some significance. I just leave that to there's another one where the dog is in the meat counter that was around at that time, and is so excited. It's a Dalmatian that it's losing its spots, and they're leaking onto the floor. You know, just want people to smile. You know. A few years ago, for no good reason, I was given an honorary doctorate at Lincoln University, and they asked me to give pieces of advice to the art students there. And I said, I don't give advice because students don't want to hear advice, but I tell you two things that have worked for me. One is, if you're an artist, or whatever you do, practice your practice what you do every day, even if it's a small amount. And the other thing is practice kindness. It is the one thing which is life-changing for both the giver and the receiver.